Hey guys, today I'm going to be breaking down the conversation between Acacia Kersey and Ash Levi. I figured now would be the perfect time to work on this video due to what's been happening with Acacia and OT. I won't get into it here, so check out Mama Bear's video for the latest update, which is linked in the description. Ash's original video is also linked down below, and I highly suggest you watch it if you haven't already. Acacia has finally started issuing refunds, but I wrote this script before that information was made available to me, but I think the analysis still stands. This confrontation happened shortly after Ash discovered that Acacia's preset pack was composed of several of her own presets. I'm going to focus on the language and manipulation tactics, so this video is more focused on written conversation rather than the events themselves. This conversation really bothered me when I first read it because it reeks of manipulation, which Ash and spectators also pointed out at the time. This will be really long, but I want to be as thorough as possible. Also, disclaimer that there might be some reaches or nitpicking, but honestly, I don't believe Acacia deserves the benefit of the doubt in this situation, so I don't care. I'm breaking this down under the opinion that everything that Acacia says here is said with bad intentions because I truly think it is. So let's get into it. I want to go ahead and say as a blanket statement that I think Ash did a pretty good job standing up for herself and not letting Acacia walk all over her, so props to Ash because she is a lot nicer than I would have been. I won't be breaking down every message from Ash like this, but this first message is crucial for setting the atmosphere and tone of the conversation. Anyways, Ash starts off by approaching Acacia in a very friendly way. Hey, just wanted to reach out to you and discuss something that's been a little awkward to bring up. I noticed this past week you bought my preset pack and have been utilizing it, and I was excited about the support, but not even a week later you've released your own, and it looks really familiar with maybe a few additional tweaks. It honestly feels like a repackaging of my product that I spent months curating, and I understand maybe you used it as a base or were inspired by it, but being a small woman-owned business is hard, and I wanted to reach out to you directly and see if we can find a solution between us. So right off the bat, Ash has done a great job of teetering the line between accusatory and problem solving. She makes it clear that she was originally excited for Acacia's support, but has since been disappointed as she sees her work has been stolen, and this is going to make Acacia feel like she needs to get back in her good graces, back to that original excitement. Ash uses something called the alternative question technique, meaning she gives Acacia what appears to be an out when she says, "You used it as a base or were inspired by it." One of these two things is obviously more acceptable than the other, but by Acacia acknowledging one of these two things as the truth, it will serve as a confession that yes, some of the presets came from Ash's work in some way. Acacia then responds, "Hello, oh my goodness." Using "oh my goodness" as an exclamatory remark like this is intended to give the impression of surprise and shock at the accusation. The truth is, Acacia was probably only shocked to be directly called out, but not shocked she was being accused of the actions she knows she was guilty of. But using "oh my goodness" here is very unnatural and reads to be disingenuous. Acacia continues, "First of all, I'm so sorry. I understand how frustrating that can feel, and it's truly not fun, and I know this wasn't easy messaging me about. I did buy your pack. I buy packs often from friends and people I follow because I do genuinely want to support, especially because that's also what I do and how I make money." Starting out by validating Ash's feelings and commending her for reaching out on the surface does give the impression of being calm and collected, and perhaps even gives the impression that Acacia sees them as friends. However, she kind of rambles here and everything has an exclamation point at the end. In my opinion, there's a very large and unignorable discrepancy between the tone and the contents of the message, and it's very duplicitous. I don't know of anyone that would be accused of theft and earnestly respond like this. Acacia then says, "I was inspired by one of your presets while making my own pack. Heck, I'm inspired by everything you create, presets and content." And here we see Acacia admitting to the lesser offense of being inspired rather than using them as a base. This is the first of many times in this conversation where Acacia will be admitting to her actions piece by piece instead of just confessing fully. Ash will continue to discover more and more of her work has been stolen, and Acacia knows this, but she won't admit to anything she doesn't have to. And again, here Acacia is praising Ash and admiring her work and uses another exclamatory expression, and it just reads very fake. Although Ash did come to Acacia and accuse her gently, Acacia is way overcompensating in compliments and writing style to keep the mood light. A screenshot of this doesn't exist, but in her video, Ash reads a long section where Acacia is basically just talking about the presets and colors and tones and what she likes about Ash's. Acacia then sends a picture of her own work and says, "Just for reference, I've been creating this pack since mid-April. Green heart. Is there something I could do that would make you feel more comfortable?" Acacia has already jumped to problem solving and right past what the problem is and why the problem exists. This message doesn't come off like she heard or absorbed what Ash was really saying, and instead has just skipped right to, "So what do you want from me?" If I'm being transparent, I make extremely specific RGB/curve adjustments to combat replication of my presets, and upon comparison, they are identical and it feels like more than just subtle inspiration of color. So now Ash has revealed that she has concrete proof that these were just ripped and re-uploaded. Acacia sends a few more photos and says, "If you would like me to remove this preset, that is more than okay with me. The first one is the one in my pack, the second one is one that I loved of yours. Again, please let me know what I can do to make you feel more comfortable because my intentions were never to take anything away from you or harm your business, income, and artistic integrity. Red heart." More flattery. She has used "make you feel more comfortable" twice now, and I'm going to keep a running tally because she'll continue to use this phrase and also the phrase "more than okay/willing/happy", so keep an eye out for that too. I don't like how Acacia's asking Ash what she wants to make this better instead of proposing real actual remedies to her actions. And look, I get it, no one likes being caught red-handed and it can be really awkward, but the way Acacia is speaking is already giving her away. She's basically saying, yeah, it's only the one preset, just tell me what you want to make this go away and let's be done. Imagine someone robbing your house, getting caught, and then saying, "Well, sure, I can give you the TV back, no problem, and my intentions were never to remove items from your possession. Let me know what I can do to make you more comfortable." Ash then responds with, "I appreciate that offer, but I think this is a little bigger than the one preset. After going through them, it's clear that at least 6 of these are identical to my presets with maybe a few adjustments made to the temperature/ASL. Taking down one preset doesn't undo the traffic that's already been taken away from my business. I get this is awkward, but you could have just supported/shouted out my brand. Acting like you only took inspiration from one is just lying at this point. If you reached out, I would have been happy to collaborate on something or even create presets for you and figure out how to split the profits, but just ripping mine off is not okay on a multitude of levels." Acacia simply responds, "I totally understand. Could you let me know the 6 you're referring to? I'm more than happy to shout out your brand, Green Heart." Acacia is again jumping forward to the problem solving before they've fully established the issue and just putting out little fires, not realizing she's in hell with flames all around her. Because in this moment, Acacia knows she's stolen more than 6. She stole double that. Acacia immediately jumping to offer to shout out Ash's brand is just indicative of Acacia's nervousness. Obviously, Ash was saying how Acacia could have done that instead of stealing, not that she wants that now, but because Acacia is anxious to reach a solution, she's avoiding addressing anything but that. Ash responds, "I'm not asking you to shout out my brand as a result of this. I'm saying that would have been the right thing to do from the beginning. Instead, you bought my pack, threw them into another pack, and released it. Posting about my brand now isn't the solution." And then she tells her the name of the presets. Acacia, "I just wanted it to be clear that I would have no issue sharing you, not that it was the solution to this issue. Okay, so I currently have my pack unpublished while I fix this. I've removed all of the presets in question. Just so you're understanding, I'm replacing them with different presets, but they will have the same name as before." Ash claps back with, "So you're just changing them up more, or are they going to be presets you actually create yourself from the start?" "I have about 10 presets that didn't make the original cut that I'm adding back in." "How do I know those aren't also going to be my presets or someone else's at this point?" "I can send the pack for your reassurance, Orange Heart." I feel like it needs to be explained publicly by you. Things like this happen so often to smaller brands and it's really not cool. Acacia's saying she will send her the pack for her reassurance when applied in real life means Ash would have to once again go through them with a fine-tooth comb and a critical eye in order to check that she didn't steal more. Also, this is where it really starts to feel like Acacia is glossing over everything Ash is saying. This is not a heart emoji moment, you're not friends, but Acacia's still trying to keep the mood light. Acacia then goes on to explain each preset replacement is coming from one she's already sold or unpublished originals. "I don't know how much you follow along with me, but I have a group of people that hate me so much that every job I've had recently has been spammed by them to the point where I don't work anymore. I worked on a fun, summer, colorful pack for months and months, but had trouble finishing it. I had 20 original presets in before I purchased your pack. I became obsessed, and honestly, I really fucked up by using the base of your presets to complete my pack. I just really wanted to create something that I knew everyone would be obsessed with too, so that I could have a stable income in the meantime. Obviously, you probably don't want to hear a sob story, but if I were to publicly inform people, the group would tear me apart, like really, really bad." Alright, this is a big one, so let's think of this section in 3 parts. 1. Acacia confesses meanies online make her lose sponsorships. 2. She admits she had trouble finishing her pack, so she bought Ash's and for the first time fully admits that she fucked up and used them as a base, going back to Ash's original alternative question. 3. She finishes the paragraph by saying she would be torn apart really, really bad by online meanies. The way she structured this response makes it crystal clear that she only admitted to using the base sandwiched in between her talking about OT so that Ash would have pity on her sob story. That is manipulation. Interesting how there's no mention of her fans that bought this pack and how disappointed they would be that she deceived them. She doesn't even mention her fans that put money in her pockets once in this whole conversation. Not once. That fact makes it clear that her original priority was money, and now her priority is avoiding informing the public. And Ash recognizes that manipulation and doesn't really engage with it except to say, "But you didn't even just use mine as a base. They are identical. I'm sorry to hear about your work and people that are mean to you online. I do not tolerate bullying at all and definitely don't wish that on you." To which Acacia responds, "I'm more than happy to continue our conversation, shout out your brand in the future, and pay you for the income and traffic you missed. I truly feel so bad and really want to make it up to you." Translation, I will not even consider going public with this, and I'm setting a boundary that I will only continue forward privately. This is also the first time of many minimizations via passive language saying traffic you missed instead of traffic that I took away from you by stealing. Ash then says, "I don't really think it's fair to expect me to not say anything. I was kind enough by bringing it to you first for an explanation, but you tried to lie and I still don't think you've even apologized. Even in your last message, you're kind of glossing over what you did by saying you only used my presets as a base after you'd already worked for months and had 20 presets ready. Maybe you did, but you didn't start talking about releasing a new pack until a day or two after you used mine." Acacia says, "I really want to be as open and communicative as possible because this truly does/will affect my income for my family, and I in no way want to gloss over anything or be defensive. My anxiety is really high right now, but I'm trying to communicate the best I can. I used the word base because outside of the curves, I moved and manipulated almost every color, lighting, effect, etc. to get to the point I was looking for. That's no way an excuse, and I'm sorry if the word base makes your work feel undermined. I used it for lack of a better word." Acacia says she wants to be as open and communicative as possible, but doesn't do those things. Acacia says she in no way wants to gloss over anything or be defensive, but she is doing those things. Then she says that she only uses the word base because she actually did change them a lot, and that's not an excuse, but it is, and she's sorry if that word makes Ash's work feel undermined. She is constantly dancing around and is using performative language. She says she wants to be good but doesn't do it. She wants to apologize, but not really, only if Ash feels like she needs it, not because she did anything wrong. Also kind of odd how Ash just said that she hasn't even gotten a true apology yet, and Acacia doesn't do it here. She is in full damage control mode and trying to make herself look the best she can. Ash explains more details and sends a few photos about how they are exactly the same. And now she finally gets a non-apology. "I'm so sorry. This I can swear was an accident then. I would absolutely never intentionally do this, but I guess that's what I get when going back and forth between the photos and the packs." Does that sound like an apology to anyone? This should have said, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for stealing your work and putting you in this position with my actions. I was dishonest in repackaging your work and charging people for it, and now I have hurt you and your business, and for all of that, I apologize." Devil's advocate, let's say this was totally unintentional. That just means Acacia let one of Ash's presets slip through totally unchanged, and is that really better? Some of the message gets cut off here, but the last sentence is, "If there's anything you can think of that I can do to repair anything, also let me know." Then after unsending a message says, "Sorry, I was having a panic attack and I felt like my message was dramatic. I basically said that you owe me absolutely nothing, but it would really affect me if this community that hates me found out and that I was freaking out about the idea that they knew." Acacia from this point on is going to use a lot of buts. "I know this was wrong, but people will be mean to me. You don't owe me anything, but this is going to ruin my reputation. This should be about you and my wrongful actions, but I'm going to make it about me." Ash responds to all that by saying, "Babes, this is already public. Chill your ass out. There's nothing you can do." There were quite a few people that DM'd me saying your recent photos look like my presets, so I wasn't the only one that noticed. Acacia, I just decided to be selfish and cut corners this time when I shouldn't have, and obviously I have to deal with the consequences I made, but I'm terrified because my family relied heavily on my previous presets, so I don't want to not be able to make them in the future now. I'm walking a thin line of trying to be as honest as I can, but also trying to not burden you with my feelings. Walking a thin line? Girl, you are ham-fisting guilt down Ash's throat. She's once again being the most accountable, and I use that word loosely, when she's talking about the effects her actions will have on her and the backlash from OT. Acacia is in way over her head and is in full freakout mode as the gravity of the consequences are becoming more and more real to her. Ash tries to get Acacia back to the actual issue, and they discuss more details of presets and says that she's done going back and forth about what was actually changed. Acacia: I understand. Like I mentioned, I removed the presets during that time. I unpublished them while I corrected everything. You had mentioned that you lost business and money, so I'm more than willing to give you a fair percentage of sales up to this point. This is not something I've ever done or normally do, and I feel very, very stupid for doing it in the first place. You deserve more as a creator, so again, I am so sorry. I can't stress that enough. I obviously tried to justify it in my own head and make excuses rather than be honest with myself and you, because what I did sucked. Acacia is getting closer and closer to a real apology, but no dice. And keep in mind, what she's currently apologizing for isn't even everything she's done. It's only for what Ash has been able to call her out on so far, which is the 6 presets that have been confirmed. She's attempting to apologize and offer Ash money right now, knowing that there are still 7 more presets that Ash has not discovered were stolen. Also, more passive language. You mentioned you lost business. Should be, I took business away from you. And her saying she's more than willing to give Ash a fair percentage of sales up to this point sounds so greedy. She also said that she made excuses rather than be honest with herself and Ash because what she did sucked. It's interesting how she put herself first there. Anyways, Ash quickly responds to the offer of money with, I'm not looking for a payout. You've been editing your photos with my presets all week and posting them as if you've been working on a pack, hyping all your followers up so when you put your pack out, they immediately purchase, instead of sharing my brand that you said you're obsessed with. Any honest influencer/creator would have done just that. It feels like you just want to pay me and have this go away, which I get, but it's not fair to me. Acacia says, that's definitely not the case. I offered because I took money away from your presets, and the best way to repay you for that was through payment. I understand if you don't want that. Money is also a way that I communicate because it's a very big deal to me right now because of my current job situation, so it's not something I say lightly. I cannot just throw money at things. It's much more to me than that, especially right now, so I was trying to convey my feelings through the offer. I removed my static post with sin and any story that included the 6 presets. Acacia is trying so hard to do literally anything but inform the public of her transgression and veiling it under repayment and fairness for stolen business. She's once again not really listening to Ash and is trying to do damage control. Ash is right. Hush money is not going to make this right, nor was it what Ash was asking for. Ash wants Acacia to take responsibility for her actions and face the music. And Acacia has the audacity to say the best way to repay you for that was through payment, but that's the opposite of what Ash asked for. Ash says, I mean, you took customers away from my brand. Had you shared my brand when you used the presets instead of acting like you did all the work, my brand could have gained a few new fans. I'm not asking for a handout or a shout out at this point. I understand money is an issue for you right now and your job has been affected, but stealing from a smaller creator isn't cool. I don't even know what else there is to say, like the damage is done. I appreciate the apology and taking them down, but what's done is done. The screenshots Ash puts up in her video are out of order here, but I'm going to organize it that way just for consistency. Okay, Acacia's response is super long, so I'm going to break this up. She says, if you do change your mind, please let me know. I understand that. I shared sin on my feed and stories and developed on my stories. I have removed both a bit ago in my efforts. I cannot begin to explain how cruel the community is, and if I share this publicly, it will last for a long, long time. And it's played up to a point, like I mentioned before, where I lose jobs. This isn't your responsibility to care about, but it's just my reality, and that's what's affecting my decision-making moving forward. This is potentially the most truthful thing Acacia has said or will say in this conversation. The meanies online are what is affecting her decision-making. Acacia will emotionally dump her fear of the backlash onto Ash, then immediately say it isn't something Ash needs to concern herself with. This is shameless groveling and is really uncomfortable to read. Ash has told her what she wants, and Acacia is going to fight tooth and nail to avoid it. I am brainstorming a way to be fair to you, but also not jeopardize my business as well. I hope that makes sense. I want to do right by you, but also by my kids. I know you're removing feelings, but it's not much of an option for me at this point. This is the kind of thinking that would have been handy before she stole. She should have thought about how this would affect Ash. She should have thought about how this would affect her own children and her own business and reputation. Like, transparently, I have blank dollars right now, and this preset pack is basically saving me. I do not want pity or sympathy. I just want to be upfront with my situation and where my thoughts are coming from, to offer some insight into why I'm terrified. I feel like me publicly announcing it will cause a lot more harm, but I'm just trying to go over it in my head and make the right decision because I don't want to be wrong again. I cannot fathom in any world any explanation for Acacia to tell Ash the amount of money she has in her bank besides pity. She says she doesn't want pity or sympathy, but what the hell else is she expecting when she says things like this? It's interesting how Acacia is so transparent and upfront about her finances and how bad she needs this money, but is not transparent about what she did to get it. I'm not going to read all this, so you can pause to read, but Ash is right on the money and is giving Acacia some good advice. She's having to talk her off the ledge and get her focused on the actual issue at hand instead of throwing another pity party. Ash then says, I hear you, but even with all that said, you still repackaged my presets and sold them. You keep mentioning that you lose jobs in your financial situation, so I don't understand why you'd risk being called out for this. I mean this in the most thoughtful way, but maybe you should look into another career path out of the public eye. It's not easy being online. I'm sure it feels scary to have to publicly admit to stealing someone else's work and selling it, and it won't be good for you and your business. So I understand the hesitation, but it's the right thing to do. I'll leave it at that. And with this, Ash drops the mic and leaves Acacia to make a decision. Time passes and Acacia messages her a screenshot of what she's planning to post, and Ash makes changes to some of the passive language, like Acacia saying she bought the pack instead of finding it. Ash then says she feels like Acacia isn't fully admitting to what she did and asks her to clarify that Acacia promoted using stolen work. Acacia asks her if she's comfortable with her posting it, and Ash gives her a simple yes. She then says, Again, I'm so sorry for today. I know this wasn't easy for you either. If you change your mind about compensation, please let me know. Red hearts. Acacia says this wasn't easy for you either. She is including herself in this like she's somehow a victim when Ash is the victim. She once again offers money, but I think she only did this so it would look less like hush money. And for now, that's where the conversation ends. Until Acacia messages Ash again saying, wanted to reach out again because I'm being told by many people that I should make an actual post on my feed apologizing. Obviously my apology directly to you was the most important to me and still is. If you agree with them, and if it would make you feel more comfortable for me to make an in-feed post rather than a story, please let me know. Here, Acacia is practically begging for Ash to give her permission to keep it sequestered to a time-limited story. If Ash were to say, just a story is fine, Acacia could then tell people that Ash didn't want her to make a feed post apologizing. After Ash tells her it's up to her, she says, of course, I just don't want you to think I'm shoving it under the rug. Based on the short and stony responses she's getting, I think she can tell that Ash is really irritated with her. Ash once again says it's her call, and the conversation ends. Again. Until Acacia messages her yet again. I'm going to skip some of these details, but you can pause to read if you like math. Acacia says, hello, I really don't feel comfortable moving forward with the percentage of money I offered you. If you do not wish to accept it yourself, would you mind letting me know of a charity that means a lot to you? Acacia, charitable as ever, really does not want to have this dirty money on her hands. Given this conversation, we all know she does want the money. She just wants to be able to say that she either gave it to Ash or donated it. This is one of those times where I may be speculating or reaching, but if you've made it this far in the video, do you really think based on everything that she has good intentions? Does she deserve the benefit of the doubt here? And Acacia, back again, asking, hello, people are telling me that you're sharing our conversation? And Ash replies, I've been bombarded with messages all day about the number of presets in question. I shared a screenshot of the names of the presets at the section where you explained how you were replacing them with others for clarification. I would really appreciate it if you wouldn't share my private messages to you. I understand that, but there seems to be a lot of confusion amongst what you've posted. And Ash is right here. Acacia did her darndest to keep everything as vague as possible in hopes to skirt the criticism because people can't hate what they don't know. I get that, I just don't think our conversation needed to be shared to clear that air. I just really want to put this behind us and not feed any bullies fire because that's where it's ultimately come to. I'm running out of things to say about her obsession with OT. We're not going to break in her house and beat her up and light her on fire. Jesus, we didn't even really comment on Instagram, we mainly stuck to Twitter. Almost all of the bullies sequestered their snarking to Twitter, which Acacia claims she doesn't have anymore. We're nearing the end of this saga, and her fixation on OT has been so prevalent and consistent, it should be clear in this moment to Ash that Acacia really doesn't care about her, only what Twitter will say. I don't think anything was said in our conversation that would be off limits to share besides your financial situation. Obviously wouldn't share that. But I'm being sent screenshots from a couple hours ago of you denying the number of presets or giving a different number. I really don't want to argue, especially because I did something wrong here and I don't want to deter the conversation. I was upset when I saw your stories mentioning my situation because that created a huge thing with the trolls. I have never said less than 6. Acacia, if you don't want to argue, then why did you even message Ash and start this part of the conversation? She shared an innocent screenshot detailing exactly what presets were stolen because of your failure to inform your fans properly. Also at the end, her saying, "I've never said less than 6" is a really cute way of saying, yeah, I've been telling people different things. Also, she's gonna ham-fist her financial situation and her children down Ash's throat to guilt trip her, but the second that Ash says something about it publicly, it's suddenly not okay. Alright girl, okay. I was reading through some of the comments on your post, and I didn't notice too many bullies. It seems like a lot of longtime followers have issues with you taking accountability and constantly having to apologize for things similar to this, which I was unaware of before messaging you. I think anyone that speaks English would take this as Ash saying, "I don't see all these ruthless bullies you were so scared of, and if I had known that you had a history of this, I wouldn't have even come to you personally in the first place. This was not just an oopsie." There was only one other instance where a creator was copied, and it was my maternity photos, but my photographer was in charge of that, but I took the fall. These situations are definitely not similar. Not only is this not even the truth, but even by trying to defend herself and say that she took the blame instead of her photographer, it's confirming all of Ash's suspicions about her. Why isn't she taking all of the blame now? I mentioned in my stories that I didn't want to take money from you and your family, and that was my choice after speaking with you. I did not share specifics out of respect. I can't control what anyone takes from what I said. I would just say that the way you said it made it seem like you declined because of my situation, and I definitely could have shared screenshots of our convo to prove that wasn't true, but I don't think that's fair or anyone's actual business. It is so wrong of Acacia to shame Ash here, trying to make her feel bad by saying, "Well, I could have shared our conversation, but I didn't." It's a really backhanded way of saying, I would have never done what you did and you should feel bad for doing it. Which is ironic given the context that this conversation is happening in. And Ash claps back with, "You should share the screenshots. I am totally okay with it. And I actually encourage it to put it all to rest." Acacia says, "I'm trying to handle both business and personal sides of this, making sure everyone involved feels okay, and I absolutely want to move forward. I definitely do not want to fight or cause any drama or encourage any drama." Again, another backhanded way of saying that Ash is causing drama and fighting, and again, making this about herself and painting herself as some sort of victim here when she says, making sure everyone involved feels okay. She keeps putting herself in the same box with Ash, and she is doing it on purpose. Looking back at our messages, you didn't offer to pay me anything until after I mentioned that you should publicly acknowledge what you did. I definitely just felt like you just wanted to just pay me to not say anything, which is why I replied and said it's not fair for me to just not say anything. I understand that this has probably been really hard for you and stressful, but honestly, it's all not sitting right with me. The last thing I want or need is drama or an argument, and I'm sure you feel the same. Yeah, I definitely feel the same. You can interpret my messages any way, but my offering was not hush money, but to meet one of your issues, which was that you said you missed out on income. In my perspective, you said you could have shouted out my brand, so I try to fix things by offering that. Then you said you missed out on income, so I offered you that. Acacia is painting a false narrative that she was only offering what Ash had asked for. And one could argue that that's fair until you realize how many times she offered these things in lieu of making a public statement, which was multiple times. Ash continues to have to repeat herself about what she's already said before, so pause to read if you like, and she talks about how Acacia marketed her pack with her stolen work. Acacia responds, "I feel like we're going in circles and not connecting and understanding one another. I personally don't see what my presets being up has to do with this." This message was one of the things that stuck in my mind from this cold tea. Get it? Cold tea? If you've ever had someone in your life that manipulated you after they did you wrong, you've probably heard them say something like this. What Acacia means is, "You're not agreeing with me." This line also vaguely implies that Ash is not understanding Acacia, and that's why she doesn't agree with her, and that if she would listen to her, she would agree. That it's impossible that Ash has a different opinion than Acacia, that there must be some reason why, that it isn't Acacia's fault. Ash then says, I don't know how to explain to you that you marketed your whole preset pack using my presets. Acacia says, I don't think you could because I've been sharing all of mine as well. I didn't just share yours. The reason people bought your presets is because of the photos you posted, which were mostly my presets. Not only is that misleading to your customer, but it's literally illegal. You're sharing yours now, but you started this campaign using mine. All my recent photos are with my own. Only one photo I posted used yours. I don't know why you're saying that. So that's why people should be refunded and the pack should be taken down. Release it at another time when all this settles. You were posting on your stories. I have the screenshots. I'm aware, but a majority of my posts and my pack were my own. I have it all archived. You can come up with whatever you need to say to make this right in your mind. I can't control that. I shared what I feel is the right thing to do and would make me more comfortable. And from my DMs and your post comments, it seems like your followers want a refund and for the pack to be taken down too. Everyone who purchased before they were removed that wanted a refund came forward and they received one. This is just more arguing back and forth, and Acacia is so slimy and dishonest by making the refund criteria be the cutoff time. If your followers who love and support you want a refund, you give them a damn refund. You sold them a lie. Acacia is never going to convince her followers nor Ash that that's okay. Here they go back and forth about a photo of Acacia's and discussing what preset was used on it. Now Ash is discovering yet another stolen preset, and Acacia responds, "What?" As if she doesn't know. As if this is the most shocking, unexpected thing to her. Just realized I didn't include it. It's my preset Gemini. At this point, who knows which others are mine and if you even created any on your own. I would love to believe you, honestly, but it seems like you don't even know. I feel like we're both just causing each other stress and harm at this point. Another moment similar to the "we're going in circles" message. Instead of just owning up to it, she's not even going to actually address it. This is her way of saying, I'm throwing in the towel on trying to hear you out because you keep making me feel bad for what I did. She responds, I'm stressed because you stole from me. You're stressed because you were called out. I'm definitely not speaking in a way that is conducive to a positive or helpful outcome. I'm stressed because people are calling me names and saying I'm a terrible human being. It's so much more than just being called out at this point. Here we see another guilt trip and appeal to Ash's emotions and humanity. She's going to talk about how everyone is saying she sucks and that she's terrible. Notice how Acacia doesn't have a problem with being secretly terrible and a thief. She just has a meltdown when people point out those facts. It's all consuming to her, even though these are just the consequences of her own bad choices. My best advice, and I mean this with the most love and compassion, take some time offline. If it's affecting your mental health and well-being, you shouldn't be online. Take the pack down and refund your followers, take some time for yourself, and come back when you're ready. I don't think you're a terrible human, for the record. Everyone makes mistakes and everyone has the opportunity to fix them and grow from them. But you have to actually do that. It can't just go away and pretend like it didn't happen. In response to this very kind and human moment, this olive branch of compassion, Acacia responds, I will reach out to you around next Friday about payment details. I am not in the right place to offer patience tonight, and for that I apologize, because you do deserve that. Payment isn't necessary if you're removing the pack and refunding. Also want to apologize for anything harsh I said tonight. I definitely took out my frustration with others onto you, and that wasn't cool. I unpublished the pack, and I have refunded dozens and dozens of people already. I'd like to see proof when you have time that you've refunded everyone, and you should post that you're automatically refunding everyone. For clarification, you're asking for proof of refunds to every person who purchased from me ever or from before. Proof that you refunded everyone for this preset pack. In its entirety, unfortunately, I cannot do that. You can't refund? I cannot fully refund every single purchase that was made after 2 p.m. I've been refunding $9 to every person who purchased beforehand. Bleacher was still included. This whole thing is a mess. Now I need to go back through them and refigure which were mine. You're only partially refunding? And this was the end of this section. I don't have a lot to say about this part except that it should be abundantly clear to anyone who sees these messages that it was never about anything other than money to Acacia. It was about greed, laziness, entitlement, and privilege. Yes, creating presets, good ones, isn't easy, but it's not like it's the toughest task in the world. It's not like this would be back-breaking work for Acacia to do herself instead of stealing on top of her already extremely easy lifestyle and career. This is having an inch and taking a mile. She doesn't see the problem with marketing her pack based on stolen work, then taking the stolen work out and replacing it, and only offering a partial refund if it was purchased before she swapped out the stolen work for old presets that her fans have already purchased. She thinks that's good enough. Good enough to keep $15,000, allegedly, of stolen revenue that she didn't earn nor deserve. Also, keep in mind there are now 6 more presets that Ash has yet to discover. Acacia sold her pack as 20 presets, and Ash's made up 13 of those. Nearing the end, Acacia reaches out to Ash again by saying this. Wanted to reach out a final time to 1, apologize for my shortness last night. It was a stressful day yesterday and my stress was unfairly directed towards you in our conversation. I was talking in a way that's against myself, so I'm sorry for that. 2, I will be handling people's purchases one-on-one with them, emailing each person who purchased personally. Mobile doesn't allow for mass refunds, so I have to go one by one. Since I am doing this through my phone over the next week, it's going to take some time. You had mentioned no longer wanting payment if refunds were being sent, but I want to give you another opportunity to sleep on that. If you would still like your portion, even after refunds are sent, let me know the best place to send your payment. For the sake of authenticity, I cannot continue conversations until I am in a more calm environment to provide you with the fair and kind response that's deserved to you. Woo boy, okay. I will say that this is one of the better messages she sent to Ash, but it took so much trouble to get even remotely close to a halfway decent message, and even now it only feels like more damage control. The first 2 sections are whatever, but the last section feels like she's telling Ash what's going to happen or not happen instead of informing or asking if she can take some time. It's more of this very thinly veiled notion that Acacia is running the show, but doing it under the pretense that she's being super honest and open and authentic and vulnerable. Also adding for understanding that personally this is not something that's just being pushed past and is a huge lesson for me right now. It's not something I'm taking lightly whatsoever. A lot of introspection and conversations with myself and my therapist is needed right now, and I plan on giving this as much attention as I can. In the business sense of this, I do not plan on adding more to the mixing pot or publicly posting any more about this. Thank you for your kindness, openness, and understanding. I'm so sorry that any of this happened to begin with, and I hope that things go better from you from here on. Hope you have a great day, Ash. Ah, there it is. More hard lines drawn in the sand to try to protect herself. I don't really care about the whole introspection therapist part because I don't think she ever really learned from this in its full capacity because she minimized as much as she could. As we know now, she then proceeded to run away. But not leave the internet. Oh no, just move her post behind a paywall where her longtime followers and fans have been paying her $8 a month if they want to see that she's learned and grown from this. Which, given how this conversation went, isn't the most shocking, un-Acacia-like thing to happen. The last section has more passive language when she says, "I'm sorry any of this happened to you to begin with, and I hope things go better for you from now on." This should say, "I'm so sorry that I stole from you and your business, and I hope no one ever does what I did to you again." And then she ends this message like a goodbye letter, and that's what it was. Acacia never responded to Ash's response to this message, never addressed that the total was actually 13 out of 20, never refunded anybody until right now, who begged and pleaded with her, never posted about it again, and abandoned her Instagram. Just to finish this out, let's read Ash's final message. I understand not wanting to continue the conversation until you can clear your mind. I am just still feeling really uncomfortable with the lack of clarity and transparency you've shown publicly. I feel like you posted your apology and then immediately moved on, posting about Disneyland, etc. Ash then lists every single preset she found to be stolen. That's 13, and I feel like you probably knew that it was more than the original few I caught in the beginning. I don't feel that you would have been honest if I didn't reach out to you. I'm having trouble understanding what you mean in the business sense or adding more to the mixing pot. I hope you're able to speak about this in therapy because your messages come across very calm, calculated, and at times manipulative. For complete transparency, I'd like proof that every single person was refunded. You should be able to do this easily with Gumroad. If you can't provide me this proof, then I will take the percentage offered for total sales as you used my presets to sell your pack from the beginning. Not to mention, it turned out to be 13 presets, more than half your pack. As a final message from me here, I want you to know that this isn't something that I can just let go so easily like you're doing. I have tried to be as kind as possible with you. I didn't bring legal action like I should have because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt to do the right thing. You knew that you had more of my presets in the pack and still planned to profit off of it. I wonder if we didn't speak last night if you would have taken the pack down at all. The continued dishonesty does not sit right with me. I see you turned comments on your post off, but when I read through them, it was filled with people who were disappointed. I didn't see any bullying at all. It's clear that now you're just going back to normal online and treating this like a little oopsie. I'm disappointed. I do plan on continuing to be transparent online about what has happened since you haven't been. I really shouldn't have been burdened with this task either. You should be the one on stories explaining, not me. So that's the conversation in its entirety. To my knowledge, Acacia never provided proof or compensation to Ash. She has only just now started issuing full refunds to all customers. She never took full accountability or acknowledged that she actually stole 13 and not just the 7 that she apologized to Ash for. At the end of the day, Acacia stole. She is a thief. She took a lot of money from somebody. And this is a crime that is still in many ways unaccounted for. And this is what ran her off the internet. Not the meanies on OT, she did. I think there's something to be said for the continual decline in quality of her content and how this seemed to be a natural progression. Acacia's life was already easy. She wasn't a mother of starving children stealing milk and bread to feed them. Her career was easy. But even an easy career with a built-in fan base capable of ignoring racism, neglect, and abuse wasn't enough. She wanted and needed to make a big move to compensate for her increasingly reckless spending habits and fiscal irresponsibility. She took a massive risk, and luckily Ash put a lot of effort into protecting her work. I hope the $15,000, allegedly, she stole from Ash was worth it. I hope the fans and followers she deceived were worth it. I hope one day her children see their mother's mistakes for what they truly are, a desperate attempt to satisfy her wants, but not by earning it, by stepping on others to get there. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you if you've made it this far for watching. I know it was really long, but I really wanted to do an in-depth video like this. I like doing more breakdown commentary type of things, so I have a few more videos planned that aren't Acacia related, but that I just want to put out soon. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Stay scamming, stay stealing, stay gaslighting.
You're watching this, baby? I know you are. I love you, and I appreciate you, and rock on.